AV Jam back. We're here with Gabe Moronta and Pat Deeley, US, UK, talking about the AV job market. So where I want to start, Gabe, months and months ago now, you reached out on a direct message to a group of people in an end result of what ended up with some brilliant people getting together. And I think we've even reposted some of your adverts, Pat. But Gabe, do you want to sort of tell that story? Because I think there's a lot of good work gone on in the background that not many people know about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's months ago, like when the pandemic was still fresh, I was talking to some former colleagues, and they were really depressed. They were down, and I was just like, this is tough. I'm in a good position. I was thriving professionally, and, it felt, it's a little bit of, survivor's guilt, if you will, where it's like you're doing good, but other people are struggling. I'm like, what can I do? I know I wanted to do something. I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to people that, in my opinion, are a lot smarter than I am. I reached out to yourself, Jason, Mark Coxon, Chris Netto, Tim Albright, Vegeta, Kay Calderon, Sharaf. I reached out to Joe Way, of course. I reached out to a few people to try to just get our heads together and see, hey, what we can do. And everyone had such great ideas. And then AV Job Match came to be born. Mark, as you know, everyone gives me credit. It's not fair. Mark Coxon has actually put up the website, maintained it, edited it, made it look good. So to be clear, Mark Coxon is absolutely, the one responsible for creating it. I might have had an idea to want to do something, but AV Job Match came to be born from his desire to do good. Mark, everybody knows him. He's great. He's amazing. AV Phenom. And he was like, I have this website here. I can just change the name. I'm not doing anything with it. Let's just do it. And from there, we started getting people. We started, promoting it on LinkedIn and Twitter. And we just started putting it out there, and it just kind of blew up from there. People came to us, gave us their resumes. I started helping people with their LinkedIn profiles. I know Mark was doing the same, and a few other people were doing the same. And we started putting people out there. And I'm happy and grateful to see that we've been able to put people on there, and we've been able to take people down. People have gotten jobs. I don't know the percentage. I don't know the stats, how many people have gotten jobs directly related to this website, but I'm grateful that they've gotten jobs. I'm grateful that we can still put people on there, that we can still try to help people. It's just a small way to try to help our community. We have a very small community, the AV, and it's been hit hard. It's been decimated, the events industry specifically, but a lot of the on-site people, managed services people. This industry has just been, run through this year because of this pandemic. And I feel like it's on us to try to help people out. We've all been helped out in some capacity. I know myself personally, I've been helped out many times throughout my career. And, I think it would be disingenuous of me to say I got here on my own. I was like, I had a lot of help. People have really stepped out on a limb for me. So I think it's only the right thing to do to try to help them in some capacity. But AV Job Match, it's here. Everyone has played such a huge role in it, in promoting it, advertising. Whenever someone announces that, they've been laid off, unfortunately, and they are looking for something else, immediately you see it go out there, hey, reach out to Mark, reach out to Gabe, let's get you on AV Job Match. And I'm like, that's phenomenal. Like, that's what we have to do. There's no fees associated with it, for either recruiters or, people looking for work. You just come, you give us your profile, we write a little blurb about you, what you specialize in, whether you're sales, technical, PM, and we just try to get you out there and try to promote you to hopefully help you find something, and I'm grateful to have seen the response for it. And, to be such a part of something like this has been humbling. To see the response. And, I'm humbled even more that, you guys even took the time to respond to me, to be honest with you. It was just very easy to say, Gabe, it's Saturday morning, leave us alone. Like, I don't want to talk to you. But I'm grateful.
Yeah, I was really enthusiastic about the enthusiasm terrible sentence. Vegeta, for example, has never dropped the ball. She's always monitoring the situation, always throwing in, here's another guy. This guy's found, take this guy, add this guy, remove this girl. And, you know, lots of sort of proactive monitoring. It's been a great group. I haven't done enough. I think at the peak of it, I had a little personal thing that I had to go and deal with. And but just watching it, you know, I never removed myself from it. Just watching it was particularly good. Along the way, I did notice Vegeta and a few others even taking Pat's postings and sharing as available jobs. Have you noticed it, Pat, here in the UK? There's an international section in the AV job match as well.
I did notice, yeah, and obviously it was good to see my jobs on there, because quite obviously there are fewer jobs available anyway, but whether that's UK or US, I'm sure they say the same. So it's good to have a focus on the industry. It's obviously good to use AV Jobs' name in AV Jobs Match. I'm quite happy for that. Sorry, tongue in cheek there. But yeah, you know, the more we can get out to people, the better it is. The fact that it's free of charge is one thing, but it's all about how many people see it. And if you've got a wide reach of people, I mean, as I said before, we've got a great big network of people, and certainly AV Sweeps have, and AV Jam has, and we've got a LinkedIn group of over 20,000 people. So it's good to get that reach out, and people do need the help.
What's the name of that group? Just to give that a shout out as well.
AV Jobs.
On LinkedIn.
AV Jobs group, yeah, on LinkedIn, yeah.
So people can go there too. I think, I know, Kev, you've got some questions as well, but Pat, here in the UK, furlough ends at the end of this month in October. What's that going to be? Do you think there's many ghost jobs out there?
I think that the issue at the moment is, right at the beginning, it was a lot of US companies who were letting people go. And I think that's because obviously they entrench and come back into the States, which is understandable, and have closed some European offices and UK offices. It's then started to come out a little bit more. Obviously, the events industry, we know, is completely flat. And we've just started to see a bit more news about that on UK news, BBC and so on, which is good. So hopefully the Prime Minister and Rishi will listen to that and do something about it. But from our point of view, we've got the integrators don't seem to have let people go as much. They seem to have been busy because they've taken on new products, new services, and made it work for them. I mean, every disaster is an opportunity for some people. And I don't mean that to be lily-livered. I mean that, you know, in a positive way. And I think what's happened, I was quite shocked this week to have a couple of people that were made redundant from an integrator, and that's been unusual in what I've seen anyway. It's usually been those levels above that where people have been let go.
Do you think you're going to see more people coming through now furlough comes to an end from integrators, though?
That's what I think will happen, certainly where people haven't. Some people have lifted their heads out of the sand and said, right, we need to do something about this. Let's get some new products on that people want to buy that fits in with an AV model. Let's get out there. Let's offer our services. Let's talk to people that we know, find new marketplaces, etc. And they're the people that are obviously thriving. There are others that have said, "Oh, there's nothing happening out there. You know, we can't pay a salesman if there's nothing happening." Well, you know, in that case, nothing will happen. You know, I know I'm teaching grandmother to suck eggs here, but that's the way it is. You've got, you know, I wouldn't say 50-50. I think it's more people have put their head in the sand than those who've actually risen above it. But I'm scared that furlough, seeing what's going to happen after that, totally agree with you.
Mm.
See, that was interesting because that was going to be one of my questions about what you're seeing to what you expect. And it's really interesting, as you said, that you've not seen many people looking for jobs from an integrator. It's been more higher up, but kind of no stole my question at that point. But
oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks, mate.
I'm not.
But are you then seeing if there are integrators that are trying something new? Are you seeing maybe that they're obviously potentially not getting rid of people yet, or we'll see more from the furlough? But are you seeing that a lot of them are even now asking for jobs or putting jobs out there, or has that stayed pretty flat?
No, we've placed people every month since lockdown, and that has been very positive. Two new people started in September. The numbers aren't as high as I would like, but then it never is. But they're not as high as in a normal year, obviously. But saying that, we're still placing people, and the integrators are still taking on. I'm working with a few at the moment where they're taking on people, and we've got interviews. I had 8 interviews going on this week. You know, that's quite buoyant, and that was just in 2 days. But it's fewer. You know, there are people taking them on, but it's a smaller percentage of people that are doing that. But obviously they're the ones that are thriving, because there's always an opportunity, and it's just making sure that you grab that opportunity when you see it. Some people just don't see it.
Are you seeing a change in the way that, not the way, I suppose, what can I get into is if you have an interview now, it's generally going to be via video, and you will probably get the job via video, whereas traditionally you'd get the job via a handshake and you'd be sitting in an office. Do you think that that's going to make people stay in the job longer or shorter because they perhaps haven't had that first-hand experience, shaking hands and everything else?
Does it make the process longer, did you say? Sorry.
Does it make the job more sticky? Because I kind of feel if I was interviewing via video and only video, that I could come in and find that if I was going to get interviewed by Jason, I had a really good call with him, and then it turned out he'd got 2 heads and he was a complete evil bastard, and I don't want to work for him anymore. But I wouldn't know that because it's just a video interview, and it's almost that you don't get that one-to-one experience feeling. So so if you go for that job, the thought mindset is different.
I haven't found that to be the case so far. Right. And we have had some face-to-face interviews as well, socially distanced, but being able to meet up. Certainly the first interview is usually a Zoom or whatever VC you use. It's usually that sort of interview. But I think that's really good in the case that you can probably see more people and get a feel for them over this, because they might well be presenting to companies and customers over video. You know, they may not have as many opportunities to go and see them face to face as there have been in the past. So if you can see them on video, it's good. It's a bit like the telephone call. When you speak to people on the phone, first of all, if they're in sales, it's the prime example, of course, you can hear what they're going to sound like to a customer. And that's the first chop, isn't it, really? You say yay or nay, depending on that telephone interview. So the Zoom thing is exactly the same. You've got, I shouldn't keep using the word Zoom, should I?
Never heard of it.
For this one, definitely.
Gabe's with this.
So that first face-to-face thing is very important, because people are not that comfortable always sitting there. So you're going to see them in the raw, as it were. So you're going to be able to question. You still see the whites of their eyes. You're still going to see how they come across to people and how they will present them. And the second interview could still be face-to-face sometimes, depending where you live, or it's going to be a Zoom again. But I don't see that as being a big issue, because I think it's the way of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sure.
I think that's interesting, because as you said... sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you could be really unsure about it, as you said, because it's video and it's not face-to-face, but at the same time, wrongly at the minute, not many people can be that picky. So it's really interesting that we could have seen a potential job merry-go-round where everyone's moving around, but there isn't that much available. And I think both businesses and employees at that point maybe just will try that a little bit harder to get into the culture and understand one another better to make it last. Because if you're looking, I'm guessing now, as we've seen, if you're looking now, you're looking hard to some extent because there's not as much out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes the employers believe, oh, it's great, I've got stacks of people out there looking for jobs. It's not quite like that. As with recruitment at any time, is about the right person in the right location at the right time with the right skills and the right experience. And, you know, it's up to people like me to find those people to put in front of the right employer. It can't just be a scattergun approach because you could go on forever trying that. It's not going to work. Or you just...
Yeah, I think that's the right approach also, because I think something else that we've talked about at some point was, you know, employers, unfortunately, taking advantage of people that are looking for jobs in this manner that they have their pick, so to speak. So they're just going out and it's like, you know, I'm just going to wait for the right one. And it's like, you know, do phone screenings, do something, look at their resume, see if they're compatible, look at their work history, talk to them, have a conversation. Someone like yourself, a recruiter, Pat, and just, you know, try to have someone vet that person. Don't bring them in if you're disingenuous about trying to hire them, if you're just planning for a future quarter or for when you could potentially have a requisition open to hire that person. I think it's disingenuous and it's not fair. You know, you're giving someone hope needlessly, you know, unnecessarily. It's like, I think that's disingenuous and that's more hurtful, I think, long term. I think it is better in the way that Pat's doing it. Like, this is her job. You know, you can vet this person properly and see if you think they would be a good match so that you're presenting someone appropriately and be like, okay, I think Kev is going to be perfect for this job. Or, you know, vice versa. I think, you know, this company is going to be great for you as an employee. You know, because it goes both ways. You both have to fit. It's not just one being good for the other. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give people at the moment then?
I would say my personal advice is what I've been telling people is be open-minded. You know, I've had a lot of people, well, I'm in marketing, I don't do sales. I'm like, well, a lot of sales is marketing because you're putting yourself out there. You're marketing your services to someone, and then essentially you're kind of the lead into that sales. This is coming from a non-salesperson, so don't shoot me, please. But, you know, I feel like there's a lot of, you know, correlation there between both jobs. There's a lot of competencies that overlap. Don't look at it and say, no, I can't do that. I won't do that. That's not my thing. I think it's all sort of related, and just be open-minded, in my opinion. And at the same time, continue to evolve and adapt. I know that's something that we've all said before online, to always learn, always continue to learn something, training, you know, evolve your skill set. You don't know where you're going to end up. You know, talking about integrators, I'm not going to mention the company name, but there's a local integrator here doing managed services that obviously there's part of their managed services was being on site, and New York was completely on lockdown. One of the things that they did was they started offering at-home managed services because they realized kids are going to have to go back to school. Parents are going to have to work from home remotely. So even if they don't do a full-on integration at home, it's like, hey, let us manage the tech for you. Let us manage the network. Let us figure out a way to help your kids go to school easier so that you don't have to worry about, is the technology going to fail for my kids while they're in school? And then this is something else, another headache that I have. So they've sort of transitioned to the work from home managed services, and they're offering these services, and they're on call. They've pivoted. You know, everyone wants to say the new normal. This is just normal now. This is, you know, it was new normal 6 months ago. Now this is just normal. You know,
I'm gonna fine you
hopefully...
one rum when I meet you. One rum fine when I meet you for saying pivot.
Yeah. I agree. That's too many times that word.
Pat, anything to close up? Go on, Kev. You can close up then. Go on, mate.
Sorry, I was just carrying on from that. I was going to ask Pat what she sees for doing this for so long. Is there something that people can do better? Is there anything that someone can do better that when they're applying for something or what they're looking to do, especially now if there's potentially going to be, unfortunately, maybe even more people looking for that one job? Is there something that people should be doing to help themselves more?
In terms of the candidates looking for a new job, you're saying, yeah. I think the first thing is not to panic. I think the second thing is realise what your skills and experiences are and get those down on paper, because your CV is so important. You've got to sell yourself, even if you're not anything to do with sales, whether you're an engineer, a project manager, whatever you are, you have to say, what can I bring to the table of the next company I'm going to work for? And you've got to be picky. Sorry. You've got to be, there's my dog. You've got to be picky and not just scattergun approach. You've got to target your market. And make sure that you're actually applying only for jobs that are right for you, but where you can do at least 80% of what they're asking for.
Perfect.
No.
I love that it was your
Jason now.
at the end and not mine.
He's laughing like he's done nothing wrong.
It set mine off. On the note of dogs, we'll draw a conclusion to that. You've got avjobmatch.com. You've got Pat's LinkedIn group, AV Jobs. You've got the whole network of people around you. Reach out. Be the friend of your colleagues. Until the next AV Job.